Good morning, everybody. We'll get started in just 1 minute here. And Allie, I don't see, let me see if I can get the questions up here. Oh, there we go. Got it. Start in 1 minute, everybody. Started in about 30 seconds or less. We started in just a few seconds here. Okay, we can get started. Hopefully you had a good weekend and you're making the most of what's left of summer. So some things we want to talk about today. This is a study that was done by Temple University and Villanova University. And what they found is they gave 140 plausible assertions in politics, sports, medicine, and other topics that wouldn't be familiar to students. So they gave 140 quote unquote factual statements or plausible assertions in politics, sports, medicine, and other topics that would not be familiar to the students. Tulane defeated Columbia in the first Sugar Bowl. French horn players get cash bonuses in the U.S. Army Band. Lithium is the lightest of all metals. Outside of New York and Chicago, the highest building in the U.S. is in Dallas. Australia is approximately equal in area to the continental U.S. These are all statements of quote unquote fact, right? So they're plausible. We don't know if they're right or wrong, but they're plausible. I mean, does anybody know for sure would bet their life on any of the answers to any of that any of these things are true or false? I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, they sound, I guess I could believe it, but I wouldn't bet my life on it, right? And then what they did is that they said half of these statements were true, and students were asked to assess 60 of the statements at a time for their validity on a scale of 1 to 7. This is done again 2 weeks later. So they did the exact same statements, exact same 60 statements 2 weeks later, and then one last time 2 weeks after that. The catch was that 20 of the statements chosen at random were repeated on second and third occasions. So they took 20 of the 60 and they repeated them at random on second and third. So what was the conclusion? It did not matter, and we've talked about this before, it did not matter whether the statement was true or false. The more the statement was repeated, what's the answer to this, guys? The more the statement was repeated, the more they believed it was what? Unfortunately or unfortunately, that's right, true. That's right, Tom, true. Unfortunately or unfortunately, it was Hitler who actually, Adolf Hitler used this, and he actually stated this, that the more you say something, even if it's untruth, the more people believe it. Now, we're not going to use Nazi tools here, but it's a psychological, actually, if you've read Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman or any psychology book on persuasion, you'll see that the more, it's also like songs. The more a song is heard, the more likely you're to like it in the future. So, well, unless it's Christmas and they're playing that song over and over and over again, you get sick of it. But the more statements repeated, the more validity it was given. So do we use that in the 5Q system? Yes. How often do I ask the same question? I never ask it the same way, but I ask the same question in a number of different ways. I want people to tell me 4, 5, 6, 7 times that something that is important is true. How many times do I want them to tell me that they cannot trust their guy, that their guy is taking advantage of them, that the guy is withholding information, is putting their guy in a better position and them in a worse position? 300 times, sometimes in big ways, sometimes in small ways. So the reason I have the client repeat things to themselves, and if you think about this, if the more that I say it is true, just think what happens when a client says it to themselves. Is that going to be even more powerful or less powerful? M for more, L for less. It's going to be more powerful if they tell themselves something over and over and over again. So what? Well, that's how and why, and because one of the biggest frustrations that people get with a 5Q system, especially when they come on, is, geez, you're having me repeat the same thing over and over and over. Was that an accident? No. That's on purpose, because the more often they say something, the more true it makes. If they tell themselves over an hour and a half or 2 hours, 350 times that their guy is screwing them, what's the likely percentage of people that are going to move? If they tell themselves in their own words, again, sometimes in small ways, but sometimes point blank in black and white, my guy's screwing me. If they say that 350 times in an hour and a half, 2 hours, what percentage of people are going to move? Yes, 100%. Makes sense? So there is a rhyme or reason to these scripts and why I have them repeat. But I do not use the same words, but I am asking the same question. Make sense? So don't want to, now I want to talk today about when you're doing a 21-point checklist, sometimes people come in and they don't have statements and they want to give you or they just want to give you their spreadsheet. Can we conduct a 21-point checklist just with spreadsheets? Can we conduct a 21-point checklist if they give us spreadsheets of all their assets, the name of the accounts, the amount that's in them? Nick says no. You're right, Nick. Why can we not use the spreadsheets? Anybody? Why can we not just use the spreadsheets? If they give an accurate accounting of where all their assets are, the name of the account, the mutual fund or the money manager or whatever the exact amount, why can't we? It's got the factual information there. Why can we not just use the spreadsheets? Why can we not just use a spreadsheet? Yes, Dale. Because we need to have them realize that we're looking at a lot more than just how much money they have in there. We're looking for fees. We're looking for tenure. We're looking for all sorts of different things. And if we have the statements, those things ring true. If they just give us statements, they're wondering, well, how do you know all those things? How do you know the tenure? How do you know the fees? How do you know the turnover? So we want and need those statements. Also, what if they don't want to give us their power of attorney? Can we conduct a 21-point checklist if they don't give us the power of attorney, their will, all their other things, their legal documents? Can we conduct a 21-point checklist? They don't give us those things. Yay or nay? Y or N? Y or N? Yay or nay? No, we can't. We can't. It's part of the whole process. So what do we do? What do we do when they say, I'm not comfortable giving you those things? Well, let's walk through what we do. And we've talked about why we need them. So first thing we can do is we can tie the power of attorney, the importance of the power of attorney, to everything they do. And this is under the library, audio video school, under the agreement meeting. They're saying they don't want to give us a statement. There's a script. Well, this is a training video. This is a video on how to do it. This is an audio on how to do it, to get them to tell you, not you telling them, but them tell you why they need to give you all of their statements. Because what we're going to do is going to tie the power of attorney into everything. We're going to tie it to home insurance, the Medicare, their taxes, their IRAs, their bank statements. Because if they don't have a power of attorney, could that, yays or nays on this? They don't have a power of attorney that's working with their home insurance, could that be a problem? Yes, it could be. If they don't have a power of attorney that works with Medicare, could that be a problem? That's actually part of the power of attorney script. If they don't have power of attorney that works with the tax return, could that affect them? If they were incapacitated and their kids were trying to deal with a tax delinquency or something like that, would that be a problem? With the IRA statements, with bank statements. So we actually have a script that can walk them through how the power of attorney ties to home insurance, how it ties to Medicare, how it ties to tax returns, how it ties to IRAs, and how it ties to their bank statements. So we have this video here on how to do that. And that's this video right here. If you want to learn how to do that, it walks you through exactly how to do that. So when do you want to use the power of attorney? Can be tied to Social Security. That's our script is all surrounding that, and the IRS, and health insurance, and home insurance, and the statements. We can tie it to all of those things. So when do you want to use it? They just want to do the POA. For example, what if they just want to do the POA? Well, you say my POA isn't working. Can you make it work for me? I'm not interested in you looking at my investments. I'm not interested in you doing any of these other things. But can you help me make my power of attorney work? Will we help them with that? No. Why? Why won't we help them with that? Because I need to see their home insurance in order to make sure it's working with the power of attorney. I need to see their statements to make sure it's working with the power of attorney. I need to see their tax returns in order to make sure it's working with the IRS. I need to see their health insurance. See, I need to see these things, or because otherwise I can't help them with their power of attorney. We also use it when they don't want to give statements. We also use it when they don't want to move forward. We also use it in the elevator conversation. We're going to talk about that here in a second. And let's take a look at why the power of attorney is so important. So I want to take a look at the actual manual on how to make a power of attorney work perfectly. I'm willing to bet most of you haven't looked at that in a good long time. So let's take a look at that here. I'm going to go to So you see where I went? I went to meetings, 21-point checklist, more information, POA with the perfect fix manual. So let's take a look at that. So what's in it first? How to make your power of attorney work better. Number 2, your power of attorney Social Security Administration, how it works with Social Security, how it works with the Internal Revenue Service, how it works with the Department of Veterans. One I don't have in here is, does anybody on the call have a farmer as a client? And do farmers need to work with the Department of Agriculture? Well, guess what? The Department of Agriculture will not honor their power of attorney. They have their own power of attorney. I don't even have that in this manual, but let's take a look at it every year, or here. First, understand this about the power of attorney is a tool for the client and a tool for us. Why? Because we can prove what's so important about the power of attorney. Well, first of all, when people come in, I'm gonna back out of this manual here for a second and go back to our where's my go-to? A second here. When people first come in for that 21-point checklist, do they believe you? No, because they think anything I say is suspect. Why is anything I say suspect? They think if I'm pointing out a problem, am I doing it out of the goodness of my heart because I'm this saint that is out there looking out for the public and boy, I'm such a good guy? Is that why I'm doing it? In their minds, the only reason I would point out that there's a problem is why. That's right, I want to get their money. Not even earn their money, Tom. I want to get their money so I can make money on them. That's why they think I'm doing it. So I need something almost immediately in the meeting that gets them to realize, because also, give me yes or no. Have any of you ever dealt with somebody who's convinced that they have all their I's dotted, all their T's crossed, and they're doing a fantastic job? Have you ever run across a prospect like that? Yay or nay? Just one person? No, everybody's saying yes now. Yes. So, and if I try to tell them they're doing something wrong, what's their knee-jerk reaction? We talked about this last week. They're going to defend themselves because they'll look stupid. So I have to immediately have them realize, oh my gosh, I am doing something wrong. I thought I had all my T's crossed. If I just say, hey, your power of attorney's not going to work, they're not going to believe me. They're like, it sure is. I went to the best attorney in town, so don't tell me my power of attorney's not going to work. So when we walk through this, who tells them their power of attorney is not going to work with the power of attorney script in the 21-point checklist? Who tells them the power of attorney script doesn't work? They do. They do by looking at what document, Tom? What document do I pull out so they can take a look at it? That's not Andre. Which document do I have them read in black and white where it says their power of attorney will not work? That's right. The Social Security document. The Social Security document. So then, is it me telling them that it's their power of attorney does not work with Social Security? No. Is it me telling them the power of attorney won't work with Medicare? No. It's this document that's telling them that. And then we walk them through that whole story about the college professor that goes to the ATM, puts his ATM card in, and it's rejected. So that's the power of attorney script. You should all recognize that story. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you should recognize that that's the story we get into to have them realize in the first 10 minutes that power of attorney, they walked in, they're like, I've got all my I's dotted, all my T's crossed. I'm doing everything perfectly. A power of attorney, I've got that done. You have to realize it, not because I say it, but because they read it in black and white, that fantastic power of attorney they paid the best attorney in town to give them does not work. Not because I say it, because it's Social Security. They're saying, I don't care how great it is, it ain't going to work for Social Security. It ain't going to work for Medicare. So the reason I'm showing you this is because it's a way, first of all, it's for the reason to get them to believe or have them realize in the first 10 minutes, their guy has not done a great job. Their guy missed a whole big hole. Their attorney missed a big hole. But if they hadn't been lucky enough to find you, they would have this hole and not even realize it. So in the first 10 minutes, that's why I'm doing this. But it's also, if they won't give us a statement, you can go right into this script as well. So I just want you to understand, it's not just about Social Security either, because the power of attorney, how to make it work better, make sure it's been recently notarized. How often does a power of attorney need to be done? In order for it to work for a bank, in order for it to work with a brokerage, how often does that power of attorney have to be done? What if it's 5 years old? Well, how many entities will honor a 5-year-old power of attorney? Guys, do you realize, any of you that have been through this before, well, I'll give you a story. This first started happening, back in like 1998. And it started in a small town in Kansas. Small town in Kansas for a farmer. How many of you has anybody on the call not heard this story before? About the farmer in the small town in Kansas. Anybody not heard the story before? Can you raise your hand at least so I know that I'm going to walk through it? Have not. Okay, so guys, here's the thing. Up to 1997, 98, if you had a power of attorney walked into the bank, if you had a power of attorney walked into a brokerage, guess what they did? They didn't care if it was 1 year old or 10 years old. Guess what they did? They honored it. They honored it. But in 1990, I forget, 97, 98, this farmer was incapacitated. His wife went to the bank, and it's a small bank, didn't have a lot of money, and this is a big farmer, big account. So what they did is they did not honor the power of attorney. And she took them to court. Now, they would not understand. We don't know if this is the right one. We don't know if you don't have another one out there. We don't know if you're really the person. We don't know if this, we're trying to do the right thing by Ralph, the farmer. We want to make sure, even though you're his wife, we want to make sure he actually appointed you as the power of attorney. We can't believe that he'd appoint his wife as power of attorney. Really? Yeah, right. So she took them to court. Now, here's the thing. This became a big national story. So all the banks and all the brokerages were watching what happened here. And do you think all the banks and brokerages are saying, oh, that's a bad bank. Oh, that's a terrible bank. Oh, I can't believe they would do that to a good customer. I can't believe they would harm a customer like that. They should be giving her. Is that what all the banks and brokerages said? Or did they all start rubbing their hands together and say, I hadn't thought about doing this. Let's see how this plays out. So after 8 months of fighting back and forth, the court finally said to the bank, she is the power of attorney for her husband. Give the damn money. And guess how much that bank was penalized? You think the bank was penalized? No. Yeah, nothing. So they said, okay, here's the money. But who had the money for 8 months? And who had the pain and suffering and stress and trying to figure out how to pay for the long-term care facility and all of that? So guess what? At that point, this has not been done before. This small bank in Kansas did this. Guess what now? What all banks and brokerages now do? They do the same dang thing. Because how much are they penalized? Precedent. That's right, Tom. They set a precedent. So all these banks and brokers now do the same dang thing. They do the same dang thing. And they say, we're not doing it to be mean. We're not doing it to be difficult. We just want to make sure we get things right. We don't know if there's been another power of attorney done or if this is truly still what they would have wanted. We just want the court to give the thumbs up, the A-OK on this. We're trying to do our job. We're trying to do due diligence. Are they really? Are they really trying to do the job and due diligence? Is that really what the banks and brokerages are doing? Knowing what you know and dealing with all the banks and brokerages you've dealt with for your clients, is that what they're trying to do? No. They're trying to drag their feet. Why are they trying to drag their feet? Because they're making money. They're making money on that money during that time period. So here's the thing. Sure, it's been recently renotarized. They don't have to do a whole new power of attorney, but how often should they have that bank? And here's, this is probably about 7-8 years ago. I had an advisor call me and say, Mike, you won't believe this. You will not believe this. This local bank required a power of attorney to be within 30 days. God, how many people have done their power of attorney within 30 days of them becoming incapacitated? That's the kind of game. And then answer me this. Those of you, some of you will know that. I think Mark has sent me information on this before. Are there entities, are there brokerages out there who will not even honor the power of attorney because they only honor their own? Are there banks and brokerages out there that will not honor the power of attorney but will only honor their own? Yes, you are correct. Getting several yeses. Yes. So if you really, what's a good question to ask somebody who comes in? Do you have Charles Schwab's power of attorney for your accounts? Do you have your bank's power of attorney for your accounts? And what are they going to say to that? What's 100% of clients going to say to that? No, I didn't know I needed it. Oh. So guys, should you, with your clients, sure that the brokerage house that's holding your, and I'm not going to ask you how many of you have done it, should you make sure the brokerage house that's holding your clients' money will honor their power of attorney, or if they have their own, get that signed as well? Should you do that? I hope you're all, I want everybody in the call, give me a yay, yeah, I should do that. And then have it re-notarized. I had Missy become a notary so she could notarize these things about every 2 years. So all my clients with their power of attorney, because it didn't have to be redone, it just had to be re-notarized. Every 2 years I had that to make it as current as possible. Because I guarantee you, if you go into a bank or brokerage with a 5-year-old power of attorney, there's a high likelihood they're going to say, we're not really comfortable with this. And then where's that put your client? And how many clients realize that? How many clients realize that? Number two, after a client comes on board, you should call all their financial entities, like I just said, to find out what is required in order for them to honor a power of attorney. Do they have their own or not? And here's the thing, get the name, get the date, and get the time of the person you're having a conversation with. Because if they say, no, we'll honor yours, blah, blah, blah. Okay, John Smith, you're saying this to me on August 26th at 9:24 a.m. I'm going to write that down. Now, what's the likelihood 3 years from now, if they say they are not going to honor the power of attorney, that you say, listen, right here, John Adams told me on August 26th at 9:24 a.m. that you would honor. Go back. I know you record the phone call. Go back and listen to that phone call. If you do that, what's the likelihood they're now going to go ahead and honor it? What's the likelihood you're going to honor it? If you kept records on that, they're gonna honor it. They're gonna honor it. So write down the name, date, and time of whoever's telling you, whether it's Charles Schwab, your money manager, Fidelity, or whoever, what they're gonna honor. If they need their own, then find that one and have that sign and put it in their file. It's important to note the requirements can change the day after you talk more on the flow. Some items to ask would be, how frequently do you need to be re-notarized? Do you require your own power of attorney or document? Will you allow the retitling of accounts? Will you allow the retitling of accounts? Will you allow beneficiaries to be changed? Will you allow, because there are entities that will not allow you to change beneficiaries with a power of attorney. It has to be in their power of attorney. Will you allow a rollover of qualified money? Guys, this stuff, if you ask your client, well, first of all, how many of you are asking? How many of you would bet your life or bet your house that your entity, your money manager, you know the answer to what your money manager is going to say for each one of these things? How many of you would bet your house on that? I know I wouldn't. Because what do we just say right here? It's important to note that those requirements can change after you talk. Would these be things that you could talk to with a prospect that would get them to think, holy crap, nobody's ever talked to me about those things before? What does it make you look like if you ask these questions to a prospect? What does it make you look like? What would it make you look like to a prospect? Yeah, I'm just wondering, when you talk to Fidelity and you ask them how frequently you need to have your power of attorney re-notarized, what did they tell you? When you talk to them and you ask them, hey, do you require your own power of attorney? What did they tell you? Oh, when you said, hey, will you allow the retitling of accounts specifically? Will you allow us to change the beneficiary specifically? Will you allow us to do a rollover of qualified money specifically? When you ask them that, what did they say? What does it make you look like? A professional. Did their current advisor even talk to them about these things? You should all know now, Power of Attorney Social Security Administration, on why this is exactly how you take care of and fix the power of attorney with Social Security. Again, you should know that script. That is, guys, of all 21 scripts, those of you that have come on board, mentored with me when you came on board, what was the first script I told you to learn? What was the script I told you was the most important script to know? The power of attorney script. Why? Because of what I just told you here a few minutes ago, saying that when they come in, they're suspicious of you. When they come in, they think they have all their I's dotted and T's crossed. When they come in, they think everything is great. Power of attorney script within the first 10 minutes, because one of the first scripts you do is going to get them to realize, oh, I have not a little hole, but a big gaping hole in my plan here. Nobody told me about it. I need to move forward with Mike to get that hole fixed. And it's not because Mike told me, it's because right there in black and white, this is the Social Security office. That's why it's going. So you should all know that script backwards and forward, and this is how you fix it. You should also know that the IRS requires the power of attorney, and here's how you get those documents. You should also know that the Veterans Department requires power of attorney. That's how you get those documents. What I do not have in here is the fact that if they're a farmer client, or even if they're not a farmer client, but they own land, and they deal with, for example, conservation easement, etc., that's the Department of Agriculture. They need a power of attorney from the Department of Agriculture. These are all things, and like I said, this got done here. They need to make sure that all of their banks and their brokerages, also, and their insurance companies, if they have life insurance, you know these things and all of that. That's how you fix the power of attorney. Does that make sense? Here's the power of attorney checklist. When you call up in this manual, here's the things, and you can actually pull this out for your prospect. Say, these are the kind of things we want to ask your Wells Fargo Bank, the Lincoln National Life Insurance Company, and Fidelity. We need to ask them these things. Do you know the answer for sure on all these things? What are they going to say to that? No. Okay. How big a problem could it be if you couldn't get access to any of that money because you didn't have power of attorney? Okay, so there's that. You can actually print it right there. Make sense? So are we all clear on the importance of the power of attorney? And when it comes to that. So we walked through that. So that's how, if they don't give you the statements, you can walk them through how the power of attorney tied to all those things. And if they don't know the answer to those questions, they can have a big problem. Guys, have you ever, if I call Blue Cross and Blue Shield on my wife's policy, what would they tell me? If she was incapacitated, I need to call Blue Cross Blue Shield because there's a problem with them paying for medical bills. What are they going to tell me? What are they going to tell me? They can't talk to you. So do you see why we need a power of attorney for all of those things? Let me get back here. Get back to sharing the right screen here. Okay, so I'm going to get back to or can I? Just a second here. Sorry about this. Get my, there we go. Aha. Or this is how you get statements. You can go through the power of attorney, how it connects everything to get all their statements. Or you can simply do this. They don't want to give you their statements. Walk them through the 5Q elevator speed, right? Say, on a scale of 1 to 5, on a scale of 1 to 5 meaning 1, absolutely, I want that, I need that, tell me that right now, and 5 meaning I could give a rat's patootie about it. Where would you put increasing your income, your retirement income by 25% or more, up to doubling, 25% up to doubling your income, and lowering your chance of, not increasing, but lowering your chance of earning money, and you don't even have to move a single investment? Where would you put that on a number 1 or 5? What does everybody say when you say 1 through 5? What's everybody going to say? What's everybody going to say? They're going to say 1. That's right, 1. 1, 1, 1, 1. Then they say, on how important is reducing the tax you pay on your IRA and retirement account withdrawals by up to 70%? Because right now, 100% of them are taxed. How would you like it if only 30% of it was taxed? Or reduce it by 70%? Scale 1 to 5, 1 being absolutely I need to know how to do that, and 5 being I could care less. Where would they be? A 1, Andre, or a 5 on that? 1 is I need to know that. 5 is I don't really care. Where would they be, Andre, on that? Yeah, 1. How about number 3? Reduce the tax you pay on your investment income. So on your money that's not in your retirement account, if you could read, because right now you're in the 25% tax bracket. If I could get that down from the 25% tax bracket down to the 1% tax bracket, how important would that be for you to know about that? That a 1 through 5, 1 being really important, 5 being not important. How about paying or having, have you applied? I see that we talked about long-term care. You said it was important, but yeah, we also talked about really, really expensive, and you only have a 50-50 chance of using it. So I get why you haven't done it, but have you applied for it? You didn't mention the fact that you had this program, so I was wondering, have you applied for the program that pays for 2 years of your long-term care costs without having to pay expensive annual premiums? Oh, you haven't. Well, on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being really important, 5 being you don't care, how important is that? Have you applied for the program to protect your wife from losing half or so of your security income at your death? Because here's the thing. Right now you're receiving 2 checks. When you die, Dolores, when Ralph dies, what happens to a check? Well, it goes away. So have you applied for the program that will replace Ralph's check when he passes away, or if he passes away, God forbid? No. Well, on a scale of 1 to 5, where would that be? On a scale of 1 to 5, where would you be with that? So guys, now they have, how many of these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many of those people have number 1s on? Even the most skeptical. Let's talk about the worst. First of all, most people are going to have all 5. What would you say the most skeptical person would have? What's the least you would see with these? I mean, if they're not interested in these things, first of all, do they have any, if they don't care about increasing their income without moving their investments, they don't care about reducing their taxes, not little, but significantly, if they don't care about getting free long-term care insurance, if they don't care about protecting their spouse, what does that tell you about them as a possible client? First of all, guess how many times I've ever heard an advisor, guess how many times I've had an advisor say, yeah, they told me they don't really care about these things. How many times because I developed these back in 2015, which is, 8 years ago? I developed these 8 years ago. Sometimes in 8 years, I've had an advisor say, gosh darn, I at the first meeting or at the seminar, I talked about these things. Nobody was interested in these things. They said they weren't really interested in these things. I've never, ever heard somebody say that. But here's the great thing about these things. You can either tie the power of attorney when they don't want to give you the statement, either tie the power of attorney to everything, like we went through, or you can do the USPs, which you should be doing anyways, and then you simply say, when they don't want to give you the statements, you say, well, here's the thing. I need those statements. Do you still want to do number 1 here? Increase your income by 25% and lower your chance of running out of money. And you don't even have to move your investments, but I still need to see those investments. Are you interested or not? Well, no, I am interested in that. Okay, well, I need to see your statements to make sure we don't, first of all, have to move any of them, and to make sure we're doing it all right. IRAs, we have to take a look at those statements. So in order to do these 5 things that you told me were all number ones, were all really important, I need to see your information. If I don't see information, see, because I put that information into software. I put that information in software, and then it will produce a report on how we do these things. So if you don't give me that information, guess what I cannot produce? A report. Guess what I cannot do? These things. So if you want to do these things, I need the statements. If you don't want to do things, I don't need the statements. So help me understand, do you or do you not want to do these things? Guys, if they were all number ones on this, what's the likelihood that they're going to just say, okay, well, if you need statements to show me how to do this, I'm going to give you those statements. What's the likelihood they're going to give you? Yeah, they're going to give them to you. Because they don't, what, and again, you want to emphasize what is really the only reason, 2 reasons. 2 reasons they don't want to give them to you. Number 1 is they're afraid you're going to find something wrong. Well, we've eliminated that, because what are the 3 emotional things that these USPs address? What are the 3 emotional things that these 5 USPs address? And they're some of the most highly, the most powerful emotions we have. Does this affect greed? Do these affect greed? Are they all about putting more money into their pocket? Yes, it affects greed. It affects fear. Because if they don't change the things they need to change, could number 1 disappear? Could number 1 disappear if they don't do it today? Could it disappear? Fear of missing out, right, Andre? Fear of missing out. Could number 1 disappear if they didn't do it, at some point? Could it 6 months from now? How about that? 6 months from now, could increasing their income and retirement account by 25% more disappear? Yay or nay? Yes. What if they changed the law on HECMs? What if they changed the law on HECMs and made them less viable? Would that have eliminated that? Yes. It is today. What's the likelihood to be grandfathered? Almost 100%. Could tax laws change to make these 2? 6 months from now, could tax laws change to make these 2 gone? Yes. Could this go away in a month? Could this, the tool we use, the program we use to give them 2 years long-term care insurance without paying expensive premiums, could that disappear in a month? Yes. This is life insurance, so could something happen to them within tomorrow that would prevent them from getting life insurance? Yes. So if they wait, could these 5 things go away? Their chance of doing these 5 things go away? Yes. The thing is, if they do them today, the likelihood is they can be grandfathered in. Does that make sense? Let me see what Gigi's saying here. Oh, Gigi's saying, do yourself or told me you copied all the information from the statements to Excel and didn't see what were the other information from physical statements. I told him I could tell from the statements if the account is titled correctly. He gave me the statements, but not his investment. He gave me basically not investment. Here's how we deal with that. We say, everybody. So thanks for bringing that up, Gigi. That's an excellent thing where they'll argue with it. All the bridge words that you say that. From my understanding, and Gigi, maybe you can play with me here. My understanding is that when you get your brokerage statement, it only has 1 page, which tells you exactly how much money's in the account. Is that right? You get 1 page, Gigi? So your Fidelity statement only has 1 page? Your Charles Schwab statement only has 1 page? Guys, how many pages, when you get your brokerage statements, how many pages are there in your brokerage statement? Well, if they're only giving you 1, Gigi, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. We need about 16. That's right, Nick. 16 pages. Because, Gigi, here's the thing, what I found is in anything, where do when the company is trying to protect themselves, do they put that in big 16-point font on the front, or do they put that in tiny 8.5 font in the back? Where do they put that stuff when the company's trying to protect themselves? In big print in the front or the fine print in the back? I don't care if it's buying a refrigerator. I don't care if it's opening an account at the bank. And for sure, when you put your money into your brokerage account, where do they put that stuff? In the big print in the front or in the back? In the back. That's right. So when I'm looking at all the, whether it's going to work with your power of attorney, how they treat your fees, how they do the tenure, how they do this, that, and the other thing, do you think if they're proud of it, they're going to put it in front? And things they're proud of, I don't need to check on those things. But the things that they would rather you not know, but are required by law, to put in there, where do you think they're going to put those? In the front page or in the back, buried in those 2 or 3 pages of very small print? Of course, Gigi, is that written in English or is it written in financialese? All that stuff in the back. All those little tiny words is written in English that everybody can understand, or in financialese that nobody understands. Financialese, that's right. So if you want to do these 5 things, you want 25% more income with less chance of running out of money without moving your investment. If you want this, that, and the other thing, guess what I need? I need the whole thing. Because you know what? You don't need, of all the things you give me, guess what? If you had said, would you rather have the front page or would you rather have the last 3 pages? Guess what I'd say? You said, I'm only going to give you one thing. I'll either give you the front page or I'll give you the last 3 pages. Guess what 3 pages I'd ask you for? Do you have any problem? I'm pretending, Gigi, that you're a client. Gigi, do you have any problem reading and understanding the first page of your statement? It says the account, it says your name, it says their name, and it says how much money. Oh, that's okay. But don't worry about the mic. No, I was typing. I was going to hope you typing it. Guys, so does any client have any problem reading the front page of the statement? No. But how many clients could tell you exactly what the back 3 pages of all that tiny little legalese means? How many of them could tell you that? 99% or 1%? Yeah, 0. So when they try to give me, I would say, so if you're asking me, if you only said, I'll give you one, but not the other, do you think I'd rather have the first page that you completely understand or the last 3 pages you don't, that aren't understandable? Because it's all fine print, which is the stuff that you want me to look at. If your account says you have $346,017 and these are all the stocks that are in, do you need me to tell you? No. What you're asking me to do is to look under the hood. Well, let's go back to the example. What example do we give them? What's the equivalent or the metaphor we give them with the 21-point checklist? We're doing what? We're doing a home inspection. Now, when you walk into the home, do you hope the home inspector says, hey, that mirror's broken? Can you tell the mirror's broken, guys? Yeah. But would you know that the heat pump or the air conditioner is not working properly? Would you know that? No. So are you looking for the front page? When it comes to your home, are you looking for the front page type of things, or are you looking for the fine print kind of things in the home inspection? Everybody. Fine print kind of things or big things? Yeah, under the surface things. So when it comes to your investments, you're not looking for me to tell you how much money you have in the account. You know that. You're looking for me to tell you all the stuff what? Under the surface. And if you don't really care, because if you want me to do these 5 things, I need all of that fine print. I need the fine print. If you don't want to give me the fine print, you're telling me you don't want these things. If you don't want these things, I'm scratching my head. What do you want from me? What do you want from me then? Because if you want these 5 things, if you give me 10% of the information, guess what I can give you? So Gigi, if you give me 10% of the information, guess what I can give you? Yeah, 10% of the answers. If you give me 50% of the information, guess what I can give you? 50% of the answers. So how frustrated, Gigi, would you be with me if I gave you 50% about how this would work and say, I got a 50-50 chance of it working for you with this. Oh, you got a 50-50 chance of working here. You got a 50-50 chance of this working here. You got a 50-50 chance of working here. You got a 50-50 chance of working here. How happy would you be with me? If I'm going to show you how these things work, you want to know 50%, you want to know 100%. 100%. So if you don't want to give me this that information, and you just want to give me a thumbnail sketch of it, I guess I could give you a thumbnail sketch on how these work, but I can't tell you how it would work for you. So I could give you how it might work for somebody, but I can't tell you how it would work for you until I have your information. So are you looking for how it might work for somebody, or do you want to know how it would work for you? And what are they going to say for that? So I want to know how it's going to work for me. Okay. So I guess, is there any, please help me understand your concern, because I want to address these concerns. Most people's concerns are that of security purposes. Well, just so you know, this information that you give me goes into your file, and that file goes into a locked file cabinet, and only I have the key. So if you're worried about security, this information goes from you to me into this folder. This folder, when you leave here, into a locked filing cabinet, and it's only out of that cabinet when I'm working on it. So are there other concerns? And what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Well, if it's personal, Andre says it's personal. If it's personal, I'll go right back to 6. Totally get it. I totally get it. It's personal. So how many of these 5 things would you want to accomplish? Okay, well, in order for me to tell you how to do any of them, guess what I need? I get that it's personal. So what you're saying is that you don't want to give me this information, and by not giving me this information, you also don't want what? This one, this one, this one, this one, or this one. So Andre, is it more important for you to, and I get it, you know, heck, Facebook, we have, oh, I see, a personal report, yeah, if you want a personal report, I have to what? I need that personal, and I need the personal information. You're exactly right. So we're kind of doing shorthand, Andre. So you were giving me shorthand. I wasn't saying what you're saying. So Andre is saying, yes, if you want a tailored personal account, I need your personal information. If you want a broad sweep, right? So if they want to know, what if they say, well, how do you increase the income from your, you know, just give me a broad sweep. I'll go like this. Well, I'll show them this. I'll pull out this. Oh, where'd we go here? Oh, because I went to, let me go here. So let me go to getting started, toolbox, and then we're going to go to 5 key elevator speech. We're going to go to the unique selling propositions. They say, well, I don't really, well, I guess I don't really care about how it exactly works for me, but can you basically tell me how it's going to work? I say, sure, here. It could be, we'd look at your, somebody could use a 4% rule, some could use a constant dollar inflation adjusted rule, some could use a constant percentage, some could use a smooth percentage, some could use a constant percentage ceiling, some could use a constant percentage ceiling, floor, some could use inflation adjusted percentage, increased percentage, required minimum distribution percentage, enhanced investment selection method, or a sale or an HCCM method. And it depends on if you have 12 neighbors, guess what? If you have 12 neighbors, guess what? Your neighbor to the left 4% might be great for them, but constant percentage might be horrible for them. The neighbor on your right, well, smooth percentage might be great for them, but constant percentage floor would be horrible for them. The neighbor across the street, well, required minimum distribution percentage would be great for them, but the person next to them, the enhanced investment strategy. So how would I know of these 12 different methods, which one would be best for you? How do you think I'm going to know that? Because you're asking, how can I increase my income with less chance of running out? Any of these 12 reasons, any of these 12 methodologies, any of these 12 techniques, which one would work best for you? Not a clue unless I know what. Not a clue unless I know what. Some of your information or all of your information? When you go to the doctor, do you just ask for surgery or do you want them to do a complete workup on you before they start cutting you open? That make sense? So I've kind of bounced all over the place, but should we ever allow somebody to leave our office and go through the 21-point checklist without all of their information? No, 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 because then it invalidates much of the 21-point checklist. Also, you're starting out, what kind of relationship you're starting out with if they're dictating how you can help them? This is the only way I'm going to allow you to help me. If you go to the doctor and you have a pain in your stomach and you say, the only way you can help me is by recommending supplements. I don't want any medicine. I don't want you poking me. I don't want you prodding me. I don't want any surgery. The only way you can help me is supplements. What's that doctor going to say? We'll do what we can, or I can't help you. We'll work around that, or I can't help you. What is the doctor going to say? If you handcuff the doctor on how he can help you, what's that doctor? He's going to say what? Cannot help you. Make sense? So again, I know I was all over the place talking about power of attorney, which I hope was a good refresher, and also how to get the statements. Was this a helpful call or a confusing call? Helpful or confusing? I covered a lot of stuff and it was all over the place, so I apologize for that. But I want to know if it's okay doing a broad swath of information, or if we have to really focus in. Okay, everybody's saying it was helpful. Good. And again, do you have to take everything that I talk, what should you do with these calls? Is it okay just to take one thing, and implement that? Even though if I cover 15 things, is it okay to take just one thing and implement it? Yes, 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 yes. Just get a little bit better. Get 1% better every day. You don't have to absorb everything. And that's also why every 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 months, I go back and remind people about some of these things. Make sense? Awesome. You guys all have a great, thanks for being on the call today. Have a great rest of the day. Great rest of the week. And I guess next week is, give me a yes or no. Is it next week Labor Day? Next week Labor Day, right? Yay or nay? I think it is. Yes, it is. Okay, so we won't be talking next week, but Jerry will actually be doing a call because I'll be on vacation the following Monday, and Jerry will be doing that call, and then I'll be back after that. So you guys have a fantastic week, holiday weekend. Remember, now we're getting into the hot season again, so hot being start writing business again season. So hopefully you spent the summer boating up on your techniques, and you're ready to hit it, especially when I get back here. Okay, have a great week, guys. Thanks for being on the call. Talk to you. Bye-bye.